Buckle up, I've got a story to tell you. I've got a theory about Donald Trump and the current and the current situation. Like everybody has theories, nobody knows what's going on. So people are kind of spun up. And I think I know what's going on. It's just crazy. You may not want to listen, but I'm throwing a trick. It's, it's a really good trick. So it's more of a proof. It's a proof that you can't ignore, but you won't ignore it. It's good. It's a very compelling indication that what I'm saying is true. You can make fun of me all you want, but this has consumed me for a while. I have some stuff. So I have a theory. Okay, and again, this is just a theory. Kind of like what would I do if I was Donald Trump? And I'd just kind of like see where that ride takes me. And just so you know, like my voting background is I don't vote. I haven't voted in quite a long time. And I don't do so because I view politics as this rigged bitch fest where just people snipe at each other back and forth in a very dishonest fashion. And I really don't like it. So I don't even play the game myself. I don't have like a lot of corporate experience, so I don't have anybody really telling me what to think. I am a free bird, and media. I see have a pretty good sense of media landscape. I mostly watch CNN and Fox, but I'll go watch whatever. I'll watch some Sam Seder. I use some Majority Report like that. I like Jimmy Dore because he entertains me. I like watching Tucker. He's got good monologues. They're sharp. I watch a lot of stuff. Just so you get a sense of it. I'm fairly open-minded. So I watched this broad, Sidney Powell. She got up and she gave a crazy story. I mean, crazy. But I'm open-minded. I kind of pride myself on being open-minded. But her story was crazy. She said that like communists from like Venezuela and Cuba. And she intimated, I think in one press conference, she said, and maybe even China, like something like that. Yeah, she said that they'd like rigged the software in the voting machines. It sounded nuts. And this was in the middle of the ongoing legal battles. So, and again, just so you have some idea, it seemed apparent to me that some sort of fudgery was going on, but the only question was to what degree. Would it sway the election? Would it not? That's my take on the election situation. So if you're curious about that. Okay, so open-minded. So I went down the rabbit hole on like research, and I found all sorts of stuff. The manuals for the voting equipment, the financial records, corporate ties, like all this shit. I can't disprove any element of in any part of her of not just her story, but the like how it got tied into Smartmatic, Dominion. Like I've read affidavit after affidavit, looked at all sorts of people's wild theories, all sorts of different information, and I couldn't disprove any part of it. I mean, the only proof that it's not true is that it can't possibly be true. That's the proof. But I couldn't primary source, dispositive proof. I couldn't find any, like none. And I found some documents that were crazy, like Dominion voting tech, like the IP. It's controlled by a bank that I'm pretty sure is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. Like it's it's very compelling. It's very compelling. But it's impossible. It can't be true. So this got me thinking. And as I look at the situation, I think Trump has played this like a maestro. Like I said, I don't vote. I didn't vote for Trump either time. And Trump is, he says, the press is very unfair with him. And he says funny shit sometimes. And he kind of says what he thinks, but he says a lot of dumb shit. Say everybody's opinion of Trump. If you don't hate him, then you're just like, yeah, he's just doing him. I don't view him as a threat to the free world. I just view him as kind of a, this like rich dude doing, having a good time. So anyway, if I was a guy like that, a guy like me, I'm just kind of like having a good time, kind of doing what I want to do, and I thought I would run for office. if I was that guy and I got into office, I'd be like, oh, cool, I'm the president, you know? I'm going to go do president shit. I'm going to read all this classified stuff. I'm going to go in all these cool classified places. I'm going to just like tell the government to do what what I think is important. Like, hey, military comes home, or, whatever. I would just, like, I would kind of set the agenda. And I get the sense that Donald Trump got into office and found out that he does not get to set the agenda, not in Washington. He went in there promising to drain a swamp, but when he went into office, the swamp fought back, like, hard. Everyone was against him. The news, this Russiagate shit, like, he's getting impeached, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening? Why do they hate him so much? And if you start digging into like what the evidence or what the proofs against him are, like as far as like Russiagate, this and that, it's like nothing. There was nothing. Yet they were so, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get how they treated him that way. I mean, whether he was wrong or right, it's not the point. It's just that he really didn't get a fair shake. And I think when he got into Washington, he read all this classified stuff, and he wanted to like actually declassify the docs, and he, like, no matter what he tried to do, he just couldn't make it happen. Like the establishment, we're talking Washington, big tech doesn't like Trump, as you know. Like the Democrats don't like Trump, the Republicans don't like Trump. Like, one thing I know about Trump is that no one likes Trump. Nobody likes that dude. And these people that don't like him used all of these tools they have to trip him up. All of these tools. Went at him legally, went at his reputation, very unfair treatment in the media, big tech always slagging him, constant negative press, constant. And nobody likes him. I think he met a lot of like rich dudes and like world leaders. And honestly, I think he found out a lot of them kind of suck. Like, a lot of them are kind of fundamentally dishonest, miserable people, because, I just kind of imagine that's the case in a lot of cases. And he just sees that all these people, not just in this country, but other countries as well, like all the world powers, these heads of state, they're all against Trump, because the bottom line is Trump won't do what they want. Trump is he's actually standing up for America. Like, that's fundamentally, like, in his heart, I think that's what he thinks he's doing. Like, he wants to, like, come to the table and cut a fair deal, but he wants to be fair. He feels like we're treated unfairly in a lot of ways, all that stuff. So he learns all this stuff about government, and he can't make anything happen. He can't make his agenda happen, and he probably got threatened. I get the impression at this point, after the research I've done, that Washington is essentially run by a gang of criminals, and they hate Trump. And I think that about a year in, he figured out that there's no way. Once they did the Russiagate, like, we're going to put him on trial, put him in jail, and you're like, what? For what? I mean, it's obvious he's not getting out of office without going to prison or being dead. I mean, I don't know. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but there's just no way that people aren't going to find a reason to put him in prison. Like, right now, if they're saying they're going to, like, dig into his taxes, and it's an obviously political prosecution, like, obviously. So anyway, that's the situation Trump finds himself in about a year in. Everyone sucks, it turns out. The swamp is way bigger than he thought, and everyone sucks, and everyone's against him. And everyone's kind of like against us, like the American people, but they're against their own peoples too, right? Like the global leadership establishment doesn't really seem to give a shit about the people of their countries. They just kind of cut deals amongst themselves and do a lot of grift and bullshit. I mean, I think that's Trump's worldview. I think that's basically the opinion he comes to. That he's not getting out of office without going to prison, and all these people are against him. And if he uses the tools he can use to hose like individual actors inside of the government or whoever's coming at him, that's only like one person. This whole system is still in place. I mean, and he can't he can't fight the system. He can't do anything about it. So the only way he can win is to show everybody what a fraud this whole system is. Like, we're talking corporate media, big tech, both political parties, the federal government in a lot of ways. Like, all of these are institutionally kind of horrifying, just the way they act amongst each other. And they've done everything they can to undermine Trump. And he wants you to see it. You don't believe it yet, but he wants to show it to you. That's what all of this is. Like, what's happening now? Like, since the end of the election, Twitter's gone quiet. Like, his communication's very tight. Tweets here and there, all of that. And it's easy to read his moves now. It's easy. And again, I've looked into it a lot as far as like the financial pieces and the ties and all of this stuff. I think that this is really a clever play on his part. The one thing he knows that they will fight him over, like tooth and nail, is a re-election. He was probably threatened in person, like, hey man, you're never getting a second term. It's probably, most probably. And as you can see, it seems like right now the whole world is against him. Like, you can't even go on the news, well, not corporate news, and like see anything he's saying. They're just not going to show him. And but if you go read his tweets, it's obvious what's going on. He's been clear the whole time. He's calling out voter fraud, like on the day. Like, boom, you just dropped some ballots here. Boom, you just dropped some ballots there. Boom, you just dropped some ballots over there. And then it kind of occurred to me, if you just go read the communications that he's putting out there, he set them up. He set all of them up. So he put an executive order in place that gives him a lot of powers a couple years ago, having to do with foreign election interference. That was a very curious thing for me to find. And that makes it obvious how long he's had this in place. It's obvious. He's going to fight these people that like use big tech and corporate media to basically brainwash us, like low-key brainwash you, and both political parties. He's gonna hose them all at once in the court of public opinion. See, like right now you think that Trump's fighting for the presidency, and he's not. He doesn't give a shit about that anymore. He doesn't give a shit. He understands that if he's no longer the president, then one of the guys in the gang, he's going to be the president. And then we don't get a president again. It's going to be just some dude that they have. Like global establishment, they pick the president. That's the way the world's going to work from now on, unless Donald wins this right here and right now. But he's already won the election. He did. He's so sure of it. The media's calling him crazy, but he's not crazy at all. Not at all. He knows he won the election. See, he tricked them. He spent years just being enough of a dumbass in public that they think he's such an idiot. They think he's a moron. They've told you he's a moron so much that they convince themselves he's a moron. Like, okay, here's an example. Do you think that Rudy Giuliani, like the guy who like fixed New York or whatever, very famous guy, do you think that I'll back up. Okay. This is a good one. So as part of this legal defense, Rudy gave this sort of bumbling press conference in front of a Four Seasons landscaping service located right by a sex shop. Now, if you look at that, you see this bumbling fool, Rudy, he's not a fool. I think he's very smart with what he's doing here. But the depth of this deception is phenomenal. Again, I think sort of strategically in this way, I've used social media subversively myself a few times. But anyway, that's why I get it. It's so fantastic. Trump has Rudy give a bumbling, ineffective press conference in front of a Four Seasons landscaping service located next to a sex shop. The media looks at that situation and they're like, look at what a moron Rudy is. Rudy sucks, and Rudy's standing there and he's like, here we have this and these, these are affidavits. And then you use your, we use your logic brain and you're like, okay, so you have statements, like that are sworn, like sworn statements that can be used as evidence in court. Those are really good. It's good that he has affidavits. And then the media's like, look, he doesn't have anything, and he's a moron. He booked it at a Four Seasons landscaping, like thinking he was booking it like at a Four Seasons. Like, again, they looked at that situation and thought it was an accident. Like, do you honestly believe that Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, at the behest of the President of the United States, gave a bumbling, ineffective press conference accidentally in front of a Four Seasons landscaping service located by a sex shop? That wasn't an accident at all, you idiots. That's the deception. He is a maestro. He is fantastic. He's tricking the media, and he's kind of begging the question for more evidence. Like right now, he's putting the whole media and DC establishment on trial in the court of public opinion. And what he's going to do is act just like a moron and like drip, 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 drip. And like after a while, I think things are turning. It's almost Thanksgiving. Like it's going to drop tonight, they're saying. I've been watching close. I feel like it's going to turn soon. Like they know that he's been in control of the situation. They know. Yet they're pretending that they are. Like it's all projection with them. They're crazy. But if you read his Twitter and take it seriously, which you should definitely do right now, he's already won. And now based on his moves, like, he was the president of the United States. You know what I mean? Do you know what he knows? He's read everything. He has enough to fry all of these people in court. He has if he actually unleashes the government on all the criminals, like, it's gonna ruin so many people. So they know that he can't be back in office. They know they can't let it happen. That's why they're so desperate. You can feel it. That's why everything around you, our whole system, is desperate to get rid of Trump. Because if he pulls this off and he exposes the fraud in the court of public opinion, they're undermined forever. They're exposed as the frauds and cheats and liars that they are. And it's happening. Believe it. Count on it. Take it to the bank. He would have plotted this out years ago. And from what I can tell, he did. And if you don't think Trump is smart enough to act in public, to act a little bit dumb, just remember, like, if you put yourself in his shoes, his life is kind of depending on it. Like, he has to pull this off. Like, in his mind right now, he believes that he is the president of a country, that if he's not the president, a member of this criminal gang will be the president. And then the people don't get to pick the president anymore. And he thought the presidency worked like it's supposed to work. He thought the people, through the Electoral College and all that shit, the people pick the guy, and then the guy runs the country. And he gets into the White House and finds out the guy that people pick, he doesn't run the country. And he knows deeply how wrong that is. And he's going to expose it in this way. And the plan for Trump doesn't give a shit about the presidency. Like, he's got you guys all wrapped up in deadlines and court dates and when the Electoral College says it. He doesn't give a shit about that. That is a sideshow. That's the distraction. That's the foil. He wants the media to, do what it does with that and distort it in the most twisted ways possible. That's what he wants you to see. He wants you to see that. And they're acting like time's running out. Time's running out for Trump. But Trump doesn't look panicked. He's not panicked. He's got this. They're running out of time. They know they did the cheat. They know they're frauds. They know how many people he's going to expose. They know what he knows. Again, this is the President of the United States. Do you think that if there is a system of vote rigging, that he would be unaware of it? Is that possible? No, it's not possible. Of course the president would be aware of that. He just convinced them that he was too stupid to set them up in this way, and they fell for it. But that's not it. That's not all of it. It's going to get better. Trump's not fighting for the presidency right now. I mean, you think this is a presidential election. It's not. This is his way to subvert the global establishment, because all these dudes, billionaire tech dudes, world leaders, people that are hooked up politically, big media figures, all these people, they're all buddy-buddy with each other in super crooked ways, I'm sure. Like the vote rigging stuff that I looked into alone, like that shit is worldwide. And just that alone is going to be a revelation for people as it comes out. It's going to be great. It's going to be funny. And it's going to be a good thing, because this kind of world system of these globalist a-holes that kind of dominate our lives, like, that's going to take a hit, a big hit. What he really doesn't like, kind of his main problem, why, like, the press thinks that Trump loves the media and is obsessed with it, and he doesn't. He fucking hates them. They lie about everything he says. They lie constantly. Okay, he hates them. Because, they suck. He views it as these globalist billionaires that fund media propaganda campaigns that just have you argue about nonsense while they kind of rob you and cheat you in ways that you don't even see coming. All right? Like, what I'm saying is, the way Trump looks at the world, Fox News and CNN work for the same people, and they're paid to argue with each other in order to distract you from what is really happening. And they just argue about bullshit. I mean, it's sort of become obvious at this point. If you go turn on like Fox News or even Daily Wire, like Daily Wire. I watch Daily Wire, and they're putting out content about how the vote was rigged by big tech. And if you look at the world like Trump looks at the world, obviously money somehow, some way, some screws are getting put to people where they're supposed to go like talk about like how big tech rigged the election. So talk about the election as if it's done, election over, and big tech's fault. All right? That's going to be the right-wing view, the corporate right-wing view. The corporate left-wing view, I don't know, to be how we got to get rid of dangerous disinformation. And then probably early next year, the political parties will cut some sort of a deal to fairly regulate big tech, but slipped into that are things that are going to fuck us in ways we can't see. That's the game that's being run on us, and Trump sees that game. Even if we don't see it, Trump sees it. These people, I mean, it's not an exaggeration really to say that this subversive media that gets run on us all the time, it's low-key brainwashed you. And I can prove it to you. I can prove it to you right now. So I want you to think of a conspiracy theory. Just think of it. It's a right-wing, far-right, really. Basically, you're a Nazi if you think this. It's a far-right conspiracy theory that, there's pedophiles or something running around. And you know what it is, probably. If you pay attention to the news, you know. If not, interestingly, I'll go check right now. Let's see, who's going to propagandize me about this? Let's take a look. Let's go to CNN and see what they have to say. Maybe I'll find it on the front page. Misinformation watch. No, they've moved on to some other way to undermine Trump. Anyway, you can think of the conspiracy. You know the conspiracy theory group I'm thinking of. They're far right extremists, and they love Trump. And they're not the violent kind of people. They're crazy weirdos. You know what I'm talking about. You're not allowed to believe this is true, this conspiracy theory. You're not allowed to believe it. You know you're not allowed to believe it. Now add a .pub on the end of it. Again, the name of the far-right conspiracy theory you're not allowed to believe, .pub, and go look at that. And it's this cryptic, weird, it's like a Twitter account, but it appears to be dropping like documents and cryptic photos of people, and there's like American flags on it and shit. I'm not Donald Trump, but if I was, I would set up a fake Twitter account just like this, and I would use it to fuck with the establishment. Like, I would do this. It's brilliant. If that's what it is. But if you have the worldview that I'm talking about, if that's the way you see the world, and then you go read all this stuff and look at some pictures and stuff, you're like, well, like, yeah, I mean, if I was Donald Trump and all this, you know, or somebody who believed this stuff, who was in the government, this is the sort of stuff I would post. I mean, if my theory's right, this is Donald Trump's secret Twitter account that he uses to fuck with the establishment. And if I was the establishment, I would definitely not want people to believe or take any of this seriously. And I would definitely brainwash people not to believe it if I was, you know, crooked and evil. This is what Trump wants you to see. It's not about the election. That's not the game here. It is 4D chess. That man is a maestro. I did not vote for him, but I was right not to, because I'd have been cheated anyway, living in Wisconsin. God, they fucked us here too. Believe me, what is going to happen is going to be fucking biblical. Take it to the bank.